It's widely agreed that the ending to part 6 is one of the best endings in the series. So, what did Araki do to create such a bittersweet ending? Well, let's see what's going on under the hood. Firstly, it plays well into its own themes. One of the recurring themes of Stone Ocean is memories, with the plot revolving around retrieving JoJo's memories, the heavy weather arc revolving around weather reports regained memories, and a number of the stands in this part having memories be a common link throughout. Whitesnake is a prime example, being able to store memories in his discs for later usage. Emporia's burning down the house is a ghost room with ghost objects. It's a room depicting an old prison room that burned down, so in a literal sense, it's a living memory of what once was. Jailhouse Lock allows its victims to only remember 3 things at once. Bohemian Rhapsody's fate power only activates if the person knows who the character is. While not directly stated, you could read this as the stand weaponizing nostalgia. Underworld quite literally digs up the past, using memories of what happened in the area to its advantage. And finally, while not directly tied to memory, Jolene Stone free as a bunch of strings. While not a common practice now really, tying a thread of string around your finger was a way of reminding someone of something like doing a certain task. Much like how for Jolene, this stand made of string will help her achieve her goals. With all this in mind, what does Araki have to say about memories? Well, quite simply, memories are the most important thing that makes us human. In the story, when characters either lose their memories or have their memories limited, they become unable to function by themselves. Take Jotaro for example. Whilst he's now awake and doing a few things because he has his stand disc that's been retrieved, he still needs his memory disc back to fully recover and regain his will to live. Foo Fighters also echoes this sentiment in her death scene. While you could bring her back with the stand disc, they ultimately wouldn't be the same Foo Fighters, as the new Foo Fighters wouldn't have the same memories or shared experiences as the Foo Fighters Jolene and company spent time with. And this same sentiment is shared at the end of Stone Ocean. Yes, Poochie and therefore Dio's influence has been defeated and erased from the universe, with the Joestar family curse finally broken. This, however, is at the cost of losing the Stone Ocean gang we spent time with. Yes, their souls have been saved and are leading better lives, with Jolene, now Irene, no longer needing to carry on the JoJo legacy, but, for better or for worse, that isn't the Jolene we saw grow and develop throughout the story. The audience are in the same situation Emporio is in right now. The events of Stone Ocean are undone. They do not happen in this new universe, but they still happen for us, and more importantly, they still happened for Emporio. In a bizarre twist of irony, Emporio becomes his stand in a way. Burning down the house was a stand that was a memory of the room that was burnt down in the prison. While Emporio, being the only person who, as far as we know, remembers what happened in the previous universe and has knowledge of it being reset twice, is a memory of the previous universe. While he can enjoy the rest of his life with people who look and act like his friends, only he has the knowledge and the memories of what he and his friends had gone through in the previous universe. What's more, narratively speaking, this decision is probably the most satisfying. Why? Well, consider. Once Emporio with Weather Report defeats Poochie and the universe resets once again, you cannot bring the characters that died during Made in Heaven back like absolutely nothing happened. I mean, you could, but compared to what we do have as the ending, not only would acting like nothing happened be a cop-out ending, but it would really undermine the themes of memories and what having memories really means. Yes, the characters do come back with better lives, but that is at the cost of not having the memories they made with Emporio, and at the cost of not being the characters readers followed weekly throughout its original release. Not only does the ending play well into the themes of its own part, but also plays into the overall themes and ideas of the series. Araki says that JoJo as a series is a celebration of humanity, and that the theme of the series is looking with a positive outlook. To look into how these ideas are presented in Stone Ocean, let's compare the main protagonist Jolene Kujo with the main antagonist Enrico Pucci. Starting with Pucci, Pucci is probably the JoJo villain that's the most antithetical to the themes and messaging of the series. Throughout the first 6 parts, fate is depicted as this inevitable force of the universe. It will happen no matter what you do. So, the challenge placed to all our characters is essentially, how will you respond to a universe that's telling you things will happen this way? Pucci's answer to this is to find peace and accept this fate. Now, this alone isn't antithetical to the message of the series. If someone personally finds it in themselves to accept their fate, then that's fine. Where Pucci steps over the line to the point of being antithetical is to force this ideal onto everyone. He seeks to achieve this through his heaven plan, using Made in Heaven to reset the universe, so everyone is reborn knowing what's going to happen, i.e. who they'll meet, when certain world-changing events will happen, what people will be when they grow up, and when they'll die. Essentially, Pucci wants everyone to live in spoiler mode, to live life with no surprises, believing that this will give people ample time to prepare and accept fate as it comes along. While the idea of knowing what will happen in the future might not sound like a bad idea at first, consider, firstly, the series constantly puts an emphasis on fighting against fate no matter what, more so fighting battles you know you're going to lose, i.e. pretty much the Joestar first commandment. So while some people's fates might be fine enough to just accept, what about the fates that people want to fight against? Which leads us to point 2. The other guy who had this idea alongside Pucci was Dio, i.e. the main villain whose fate was supposed to be that he was going to rule above everyone else. This heaven plan was his brainchild and a means for everyone to accept his eternal rule over everyone. Yes, Dio's been defeated, but what if someone like Dio, or someone worse, was to gain some power? Would people just have to accept that fate in this universe? And thirdly, me personally, I think having no surprises in life kinda sucks. Yeah, people want to prepare for the worst, but this plan also involves all the good surprises that may come your way. And again, bad things will happen in life, but even if you see it coming or not, you still have to find a resolve to get through it. And that's the thing about JoJo that celebrates humanity. Regardless of the challenges, tragedies and calamities put to us, we will find a will or resolve to overcome them, or at the very least attempt to. Pucci's plan goes against this because he's forcing the mindset onto people that, yeah, things are inevitable, so instead of fighting them, just accept them without question. We don't thrive because we blindly accept calamity, we thrive because we find our own personal ways to get through it. You cannot truly live on life with a positive outlook if that positive outlook is being forced upon you. And that's what Pucci ultimately has in common with Dio. In their own ways, they reject humanity. Dio rejects his own humanity in order to ascend and rule over it, whereas Pucci rejects humanity and what it means to be human, specifically finding the strength to get through unexpected calamities. Jolene, on the other hand, much like the JoJos who came before her, does live up to these themes. Over the course of the part, we see her go from challenge to challenge and step up to them, from being thrown in prison, being sent to maximum security unit, to going up against 2/3 of the sons of Dio. Throughout each battle, we see Jolene's resolve grow and use more extreme methods to ensure she wins the battle, such as setting herself on fire against Raquel. Alongside this, also fully understands why her father made the sacrifices he made and became an absent parent for most of her life. All this leads up to her final act, which was to protect Emporio from Pucci, believing that no matter what, Emporio was their final hope at saving the day. An act, might I add, reflects the first act we see from Jonathan Joestar do, which is to fight defending someone in a fight they know they're going to lose. Which brings us to the final point, JoJo's being a roundabout journey. If anything, this is more of an icing on the cake, but everything that happens in the story of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure comes full circle in part 6. The story begins and ends in the rain. The trip in part 1 is cut short due to a gruesome accident, and this is where the intertwined fates of the Joestar family and the Brando family begin and spiral to what we see in parts 1 through 6. Almost like fate intentionally interrupted this journey to make sure these worlds collided. Fast forward to the end of part 6, where Dio's influence has ended, we see Emporio and Eldest get picked up by Irene and Anarchist who have stopped for gas. Once back on the road, they take one more stop to pick up an alternate weather report, and their journey continues, making a parallel part 1's opening. Where fate interrupted the Joestar's family life to fight evil, fate is now allowing them to pick up the journey where they left off, free from the Joestar curse. Speaking of part 1's road accident, part 6 also opens in a similar scenario, with Jolene seemingly getting into a road accident in the rain. However, instead of this being a pure act of fate, we later discover that this was an intentional act done by one of Dio's servants to frame Jolene. Despite not being in the exact same place, Jonathan and Jolene both die in the ocean off the coast of America, with Jonathan intending to go to America and Jolene, who was also born there, leaving America. And of course, both Cujo members of the JoJo family, Jotaro and Jolene, are introduced being locked up in a prison cell. Now, there's probably a lot of other parallels that I could have mentioned that I just missed out on, but these are the ones I noticed so far. Overall, part 6 ending is a good ending for the ending of the original universe. It knows how to be satisfying without being a cop-out, it stays relevant to its own themes it's introduced, as well as staying true to the themes of the entire series before it, all to deliver a satisfying ending to this roundabout journey.